The cold limestone floor presses against your skin. The air inside the cave is thick. It is heavy with the scent of damp earth and the sharp metallic tang of fresh blood. Outside, the wind howls across a landscape that modern eyes would not recognize. You are not safe. You are never truly safe. A sharp, crushing blow splits the darkness. It strikes your forehead with terrifying precision. Then, a second impact shatters the bone completely. Your vision fades into a quiet, permanent dark. Thousands of years later, you wake up to a different kind of violence. The alarm on your nightstand screams at 6 in the morning. It is a sterile, digital panic designed to tear you away from the only peace you will know today. You drag your feet across clean, manufactured flooring. You step into a world of concrete corridors and fluorescent lights that flicker with an invisible, exhausting frequency. Modern world feels heavy. It is overwhelmed by a constant background radiation of human conflict. You open your screens to see an endless cycle of digital warfare, systemic cruelty, and calculated malice. It is easy to look around your air-conditioned life and believe that malice is a modern invention. Modern society tells itself that modern humans are a broken version of a once peaceful species. You romanticize the deep past as an era of pure harmony, a time before the rot of civilization took root. But the stone does not lie. In 1984, a team of archaeologists working in the Atapuerca Mountains of northern Spain uncovered something hidden inside a deep, subterranean chamber known as Sima de los Huesos, or the Pit of Bones. Dr. Juan Luis Arzuaga and his colleagues spent decades meticulously clearing clay and debris from this ancient site. Deep within the earth, they found the remains of at least 28 individual human ancestors dating back roughly 430,000 years. These were Homo heidelbergensis, a robust, large-brained hominin species that walked the earth long before modern Homo sapiens evolved. Among these ancient bones was a specific specimen labeled Cranium 17. For years, it sat as a puzzle of 52 separate skull fragments. When scientists finally pieced the skull back together, a haunting story emerged from the bone. Just above the left eye, two distinct, identical holes punctured the forehead. Dr. Nohemi Sala led a forensic team that analyzed these fractures with advanced three-dimensional imaging. The research showed no signs of healing, meaning the injuries occurred at or very close to the time of death. The shape of the fractures proved they were caused by the multiple impacts of a single, heavy object, delivered with deliberate force from the same angle. This was not a hunting accident. This was not the result of a fall down a rocky slope. The evidence pointed squarely to a grim, undeniable reality. This was a calculated, face-to-face assault. Cranium 17 represents the oldest definitive evidence of lethal interpersonal violence in the human evolutionary record. It is the real first murder. Long before the invention of agriculture, cities, laws, or money, a human ancestor looked into the eyes of another and chose to end their life. The realization is a heavy one to carry. It shatters the myth of the noble savage, the comforting illusion that early humans lived in a state of perpetual, blissful peace until modern society corrupted the human soul. But if you look closer at the Pit of Bones, the story changes shape once again. The chamber where Cranium 17 was found is located nearly half a kilometer deep inside a complex cave system. It is incredibly difficult to reach, requiring a dangerous, vertical descent down a terrifyingly deep shaft. There are no signs that ancient humans ever lived inside this dark, suffocating pit. There are no tools, no animal bones from ancient meals, no traces of campfires. How did 28 ancient bodies end up at the bottom of this inaccessible abyss? Dr. Arzuaga and his team proposed a theory that challenges the deepest assumptions about ancient minds. They suggest that Sima de los Huesos was not a trash heap or an accidental trap. It was a burial site. The living members of this ancient community likely carried the bodies of their dead through the pitch-black tunnels of the cave, deliberately dropping them down the shaft to protect them from scavengers or to mark their passing. Among the thousands of hominin bones, archaeologists found only one single stone tool. It was a beautifully crafted hand axe made of rare red quartzite, a material not found anywhere near the cave. The researchers named it Excalibur. Many anthropologists believe this red axe was not a random discard, but an offering. If this interpretation holds true, It means that 430,000 years ago, the very same community that was capable of brutal, face-to-face murder was also capable of deep grief, symbolic thought, and ritualistic care for the dead. The hand that held the weapon to strike down a companion belonged to a culture that mourned the loss of life with solemn dignity. This duality is the true inheritance of modern humans. Modern society often looks at the violence in the modern world and blames modern infrastructure. You blame the stress of the economy, the isolation of big cities, or the polarizing algorithms of social media. You view the human capacity for cruelty as a glitch in the machine of civilization. But Cranium 17 reminds modern humans that the darkness has always been here, woven tightly into the fabric of human biology. The capacity for extreme violence is as ancient as the capacity for love, cooperation, and artistic expression. Ancient ancestors did not live in a flawless paradise, and they were not mindless beasts driven purely by primal instinct. They were shockingly, terrifyingly like you. You look at your reflection in the mirror before leaving for work. You see the faint contours of a skull that shares its design with the victim in the pit of bones. Modern humans have built high-rise buildings, written complex constitutions, and mapped the distant stars, yet the fundamental architecture of the human mind remains unchanged. Modern humans are still the creatures who carry both the weapon and the offering into the deep dark of the cave. The cold limestone floor presses against your skin.